This is WBSM On Demand.
It's time for South Coast Now with Chris McCarthy. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, Chris McCarthy.
Good morning. Welcome back to the second hour of the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. I'm just really excited for my next guest, which is Jen Nassour. She was the past chairman of the Republican Party. You know, as you know, I've been a Republican candidate. I've been a longtime member of the party, and she is not with me in this particular race. As you know, I'm with President Trump, but that's okay. I appreciate it's a big party, grand party, and Jen is the chairperson of the Nikki Haley campaign. Well, I think Nikki's going to do pretty well here in Massachusetts. We've had, of course, the former sheriff of Bristol County, my friend Tom Hodgson. And, of course, he's very good friends with Jen Nassour. He speaks very highly of her. I was with him this weekend. And so we're going to be joined now by Jen. Jen, thanks for joining me.
Chris, thanks so much for having me on and for that great introduction.
Well, listen, I remember when you were the chairperson of the party, and you know, people say this is a blue state, but we've been very successful as a party, electing a lot of successful governors over the years, and even a U.S. senator. So what do you think Nikki Haley brings to the table? Why should my listeners vote for Nikki Haley tomorrow?
So first of all, Chris, I'm a big fan of yours as well, and I love Sheriff Tom. He's a good friend, always has been, and was super supportive always. And so, this is nothing personal. This is just, who we think can actually beat Biden and beat the Democrats in November, right? At the end of the day, we want to win. We cannot have another 4 more years of migrants coming over the border, of an economy that continues to go down, where prices continue to soar, and job wages are stagnated, right? And so we're all on the same team when it comes to that. Yes. It just is who can beat the crap. It's radio out of Biden in the fall, and so and maybe it's not going to be Biden. Maybe they replace him with someone else. So for me, that person is Nikki Haley. I look at it from a party, former party chair perspective. Mm-hmm. It's like a political cake. She's got the experience as a state legislator, as a 2-term governor, as a union ambassador, right? And that is the perfect makings to a cake. She's an accountant, so she understands the importance of balancing a budget, of getting a budget on time, but also managing between, how many people do you need in bureaucracy? Who's going to be there? What wages are being paid? Understands the foreign affairs portion of it. Well, she was governor. She was a Tea Party governor who was elected in 2010, and she had the strictest immigration laws in the country. And so those are things that I think, I know I'm personally looking at. In Massachusetts specifically, over 60% of our electorate are unenrolled voters that can vote in the primary. And, if we have an opportunity to change this, look, Reagan won here in 80 and 84. How cool would it be to have someone else who could actually win this state come November?
We're speaking with Jen Nassour, who is the chairperson of the Nikki Haley campaign here in Massachusetts. Jen, one of the arguments for Nikki Haley that her team is putting out there, and some of my callers who support her have mentioned here on the air, is that they believe she would have however you want to put it, less of a drag or more coattails, and help elect here in Massachusetts more state reps, more state senators, and ultimately across the country more congressional candidates. Do you agree with that position?
I do, because, what we've seen here, and I think Massachusetts is a really good example of this happening, when we do not have someone strong at the top of the ticket, then you do not, it's that old adage, right? Rising tides lift all ships. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing here. If you have someone who's strong and who's palatable at the top of the ticket for everyone to vote for, that is going to lift up United States Senate and congressional seats, that will lift up governorships, that will lift up state legislatures. But even more important, what's important to us here? Our school boards, our planning committees, right? It's like we're looking at not just the top, but everyone at the bottom too, lifting them up. And that, again, when we're looking at growing the party, it's how many voters can we get? And aren't we sick of what is going on? Look, whether it's Massachusetts or the United States, aren't we sick of being ruled by these liberal crazies that are pulling us down as a nation?
We're speaking with Jen Nassour, who is with the Nikki Haley campaign here in Massachusetts. Jen, how do people either get in touch with you or get in touch with the campaign for Nikki Haley, assuming she does well here? And I think she's got an opportunity to do well here if her people get out to vote. Is there a way people can get in touch with you, get in touch with the campaign? Do you have any information for people?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter and just send me a direct message. I'm pretty decent at responding. As long as you're not being mean to me, I'll respond to you. If you say something nasty, I'm not responding.
Not my audience.
I'm at Jennifer Nassour, or you can go to the campaign website, NikkiHaley.com. You can sign up and volunteer, and that will come directly to me as well.
So one of the things that, we know Donald Trump has a lot of grassroots support here, but I have heard that a number of elected officials in the Massachusetts Republican Party are supporting Nikki Haley. I didn't ask you this question off the air, so you may not be ready for it, but can you give me some names of some of the locally elected officials from the Republican Party who are supporting Nikki?
Sure. I mean, you have people like Brad Jones, Hannah Kane, Dave Vieira, Nat Meritori, Joe McKenna, just to name a few that are out there.
So Dave Vieira is in this audience. He's down the Cape. So people in my audience know Dave Vieira. Of course, we all know Brad Jones, who's the minority leader currently in the House of Representatives. That's a big list. Yeah,
it's a great list. And, we have former elected officials like Sean Dooley and Lenny Mira that are with us. We have a really nice campaign leadership team, and some other locally, more local electeds and, other people who have served in the administrations between Scott Brown and Charlie Baker. So, we have a really good amount of support. And, I would here's the thing, Chris, at the end of the day, again, we are a big tent. We are a big party of great people. And even though our registration is under 9%, we have so many of those unenrolled voters that believe in our values and our morals. And again, I just want to encourage everyone to have their voice be heard tomorrow. Go out and vote on Election Day, whether you're an unenrolled or you're a Republican. There's literally nothing going on the Democratic side. But, for all of us, there is. And it's an opportunity to save our country. And I take that very seriously. And I hope that other people do, because at the end of the day, listen, you put your best teams into the Super Bowl. That's who wins. That's who gets out there and is able to compete. And you hope that your team is the winning team. You never want to be on the losing team. And politics, unfortunately, it's a blood sport. And we have to show our support for people who can actually win elections.
We're with Jennifer Nassour, who's a past chairman of the Republican Party here in the state of Massachusetts. She's the chairperson of the Nikki Haley for President campaign. Now, tomorrow is voting day. Jen, as a past chair of the party, you're very involved and you know what's going on. we have a lot of opportunity. It'll be in November, but for Republicans to pick up state Senate seats, state rep seats. I'm thinking of the Mark Pacheco seat here, which is in my listening audience. We have a state rep seat in Westport that's going to be coming open. We have a very competitive seat here in Fairhaven. So there is a lot of opportunity. Should people be thinking about those down ballot races when they make their selection for president tomorrow?
Absolutely, because the Republican Party in Massachusetts had been, I was thankfully to a lot of great people who were running for office when I was chair and the people who were supporting them. We ended up increasing the numbers in the legislature. By the time I was done, we had more than doubled the number of people in the state legislature. Since then, our numbers have been dwindling, and Amy has done a great job adding an extra 2 seats on there. Mm-hmm. But we are far, far, far from even being a minority that is taken seriously in the legislature. And in order to be taken seriously, you need to win elections. And so who is running in those seats, in those primaries, who wins and advances is very important. And so when you go and vote, it's look at who is going to pick up all of those races and make it so that way, when in a general election, everyone gets to vote. And in a general election, when everyone gets to vote, you want it to be the candidates who can actually win, because we can't have fights when we're outside the castle walls. You need to actually be in the castle. And unfortunately, the Democrats have, and you see what happened, the sex ed bill that advances through the Senate. It's these crazy things that happen. We need to have more representation from the Republican side, because that's what a representative society is, a representative democracy, and that's what we're supposed to be. And we're very underrepresented in Massachusetts right now.
We've been speaking with Jen Nassour, who is past chairman of the Massachusetts Republican Party. She's here stumping for Nikki Haley. And again, you'll have that opportunity to vote for Nikki Haley tomorrow. She's obviously facing up against former President Donald Trump. Jen, my feeling is this. At the end of the day, what you started out saying is correct. We got to get rid of Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats put up, because he'll just continue his policies. Whoever ends up winning the Republican primary, that's who I'm going to support. Isn't that really the ultimate message?
That's really the ultimate message, is we need to be able to beat Joe Biden. Or listen, I'm not convinced. I'm one of those people who think that the Democrats are going to switch out Joe Biden for Gavin Newsom, because no one wants President Kamala Harris. And if we allow Joe Biden to win this, and we don't have, again, I'm supporting Nikki Haley, right? So,
yes.
So I'm going to give you this number, and you guys listeners, you do what you want with this. But a recent Fox poll came out that had Trump within 3 points of Biden. That is within a margin of error. That is, anything could go wrong. And we all know that in politics, 6 months is an eternity. I mean, anything could happen. That is too close. Nikki Haley, on the other hand, there was one poll that had her 9 points, one poll that had her 10 points, and a poll last week that had her 18 points over Joe Biden. That is a sweep that takes out Joe Biden, that takes out the Democrats, that can win us the House, and it can win us the Senate. And at the end of the day, think about what's important to you. And that, to me, is the most important thing. I have 3 daughters. I do not want to see this country continue on the trajectory that it's on, because I feel like we are going to hell in a handbasket pretty quick.
Jen, I want to thank you again for joining me. I think you're a great spokesperson for Nikki Haley. She's lucky to have you, and we're lucky to have you. And so I hope in the future you'll come back, regardless of what happens with Governor Haley, Ambassador Haley. I hope you'll come back, because I think you've got a great political mind, and we would enjoy you here on the program.
Thanks so much, Chris, and thank you for having me on. And remember, go vote tomorrow.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. So, that's Jen Nassour from the Nikki Haley campaign, and as we know, we've had Sheriff Hodgson here. He's a friend of the president and Donald Trump, and a great spokesman for him. But this is a big tent party. We need everybody. At the end of the day, if Nikki Haley wins, she's going to need the Trump voters, the Trump supporters, to come out for her to beat back Biden. And same thing is the case for Donald Trump. He's going to need the Nikki Haley voters, the Nikki Haley supporters, the Jen Nassours of the world to join with him. So together, folks, I think we can get the country back on track. All right, stick around. I'm Chris McCarthy. We'll be right back.
Like a sign that can't wait for a night. I hate to think I've been blinded, baby. What can I see tonight?
Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. I want to thank Jen Nassour again for joining us. She's a brilliant mind, political, really smart lady, and as she said, a mother of 3 daughters, an attorney. So hopefully we'll get Jen back, regardless of how this primary turns out. All right, folks, I've had a number of people on hold. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, I mean, she's very. Your guest there. She's very, very knowledgeable and well spoken. I just one quick thing. I did. She didn't note the fact that that sounds like Nikki Haley's not going to get behind Trump if he's nominated, though. I didn't hear her say that. But in any case, that wasn't why I called.
Yeah, go ahead.
In regards to the Trump rally that was held yesterday, I attended that. I had a good time, and I just wanted to let you know that was fun. Sheriff Tom was obviously organized in you're well aware. And he had a good speech at the end, you know.
Did he?
And it's always good to listen to Tom speak because he's a very good speaker. I always I was sad when he lost that election.
We all were. We all were.
Yeah, but it was good to hear him. You know, good to hear him speak, and it was a good rally, well attended. It was actually well covered by the media.
Oh yeah. Tom has a great way of getting media. Again, everyone knows in the media, they might not agree with him, but they know he's genuine, and they know he's a local guy, and he's got a lot of accomplishments. And so the President Trump is lucky to have him as a spokesperson, out there every day. And I know, Tom and I are very close friends. I talk to him every day. He's out there. He's traveling all over Massachusetts. In fact, he brought me Saturday morning to dialysis, and then he drove to Springfield to give a speech for President Trump. So there's nobody better than to have in your corner, whatever it is, than Tom Hodgson.
Yeah, I've known him for a short period of time too, and I'm right on board with him too, right on board there. So I can just I know that he's going to help this this state and guide it. Maybe we can turn this state around. That's all I can hope for. And that was his message to everybody to get out and vote and spread the message. It's up to
us, right? It's up to us.
We can't just sit back and expect anybody else to do it. And it's not really not political. It's about just getting our country back. It's
Absolutely.
Not about left. But all right. Well, thanks.
Hey, thank you for the call and the update. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, look, Tom Hodgson has got a really important stump speech. Today is our moment in time to change this country for the better, to preserve what needs to be preserved, to change what has to be changed. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, I was kind of interested in at the end when you said, if Nikki Haley's the one that is the pick of the Republican Party that will all get around her, that she didn't say anything because Nikki Haley has rescinded her pledge to get behind whoever they pick. So, if it's Donald Trump, obviously, I'm sure. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she didn't say something there about that. I mean, I don't think if she keeps that up, I don't think Trump supporters will get behind her.
I think that Nikki Haley's got a small window here, and it's probably tomorrow or the day after to figure out what she's going to do with the rest of her life, really.
Right. But I had this thought this weekend, and I don't know where it came from, but maybe we can give it to Tom Hodgson, and he can use it as a slogan or something. So President Trump was our 45th president, and if he wins again, he'll be our 47th. 4 + 5 is 9. 4 + 7 is 11. He'll be on 911 president.
Well, I like that.
It's an emergency.
I like that. That's very good. I'm glad this is recording. I'll send it to Tom. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I like
send
that.
it to, I don't know what made me think of it. Somebody was on the news saying he'd be the 47th and the 45th president, and I don't know what made me add them together, but I thought of it, and I thought that was a good idea. So there you go. It's yours now. You can run with it.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. 508-996-04. And now I'm going to take a couple more calls, but I have Bob McConnell, who is a candidate for the Republican State Committee. He's running unopposed. Bob's a good friend of mine and Fairhaven resident, very active in the Republican Party. So I'm glad he's seeking that seat. Brock Cordero is leaving. But we'll be joined by Bob here in a few minutes. Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Yes, I want to commend you for calling all this attention to the elections. Okay,
Thank you.
Because I know it can be a dry subject, and explaining to people too. I know you tried a little teaching, subbing over at Quantico what you did when you were young. It wasn't for you, but basically that's what you're doing. You're teaching the public the process and what goes about and what goes on and all that sort of stuff. So, it's something that really needs to be done, and I'm glad that you do that and explain to people how to vote and where to go and all that sort of stuff. The other thing about Nikki Haley, Haley, is it? Okay.
Haley,
yeah.
Like Hale,
Hale.
Yeah, Haley.
Yeah. I think what she's trying to do is get her name out there for the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. I think she feels that Trump will lose the election to Biden, which I don't think is necessarily true. And then once he's lost, then she'll be okay for 4 years from now. Or maybe once Trump has won, and constitutionally he can't run unless he tries to change the Constitution, then that would be her time. So I think she's trying to get her name out there, that sort of thing. And the other thing about the local elections, though, yes. I wish one thing that you would support, okay, to get interest in a local election is a referendum. And it has non-binding even, I think that would get people out locally. The last time we tried to have a referendum, and it doesn't have to be on term limits, it could be on anything else.
Sure.
It was shut off, even though it was non-binding by the local officials.
Yes.
And if you want to get some interest, I think that's one of the things you should do.
Okay? I will tell you that I am in conversations, because again, I don't direct anything. I just have to watch what the city council does. But I do have sources over there. So I do have my ear to the ground on what they're thinking about doing, and I agree with you. Local referendums, even if they're non-binding, have a lot of influence and power, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Or you want to get people involved, I think that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
One other thing I want to mention to you before, I know you're expecting a call from the other person there. I watched Cheryl Atkinson this week, okay?
Yes.
And next week she's going to have a program which might be interesting on the failure of offshore windmills. And for some reason, it was on the teas they gave. For some reason, the ones on land seem to work, and the ones offshore don't. I hope for our mayor's sake she's wrong, or the program that she shows wrong. It'll be on next Sunday. It comes on the same time as OTR, which is tough for me. So I stay up late and I watch it at 11:30 on Channel 10. So I think it'd be good information for people to have. And hopefully, she's wrong and her program is wrong and the mayor's right for the good of New Bedford,
Oh, I agree with you, my friend. Hey, thanks for the call as always. I appreciate it. Folks, now we're going to be joined by Bob McConnell. I'm just kidding him because he's got his sign here. And Bob McConnell is a candidate for the Republican State Committee here in Fairhaven, which is where he lives, city of New Bedford, Dartmouth, Mattapoisett, Acushnet. The Republican State Committee runs the Republican State Party. Now, there's a man and a woman from each Senate district. Bob is running for the seat that currently is occupied by Brock Cordero, who's decided not to run again for re-election. His female counterpart will be my very close friend, Joanne Hodgson. So I think the two of them will make a great team. Bob, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Chris.
So, Bob, give people who've never met you before, which is very few people because you're always around, you're at your church, you're doing all kinds of things, but give people a thumbnail sketch of who you are.
Chris, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm just so happy to be here. What a fantastic thing in a brief amount of time being involved in politics, to be in studio talking with someone like you who's so knowledgeable and knows so much about this political activity. I'm just overwhelmed with how happy I am to be here.
Thank you.
What I would say about involvement in politics and include me, a little bit of a bio of me, is that I just became involved in 2019. I've been over at the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department since 1987. I retired from full-time service in 2012, and then in 2014, Sheriff McDonald appointed me to his ICE team, and I served on that from 2014 up until quite recently, up until this summer. I had grown up in Albany, New York, and back then was in the Boy Scouts and attended church there. Met some friends, and they after high school went on to Northeastern to move to Boston and went to Northeastern, and I went along with them seeking an education or something, but ended up at nursing school at Boston City Hospital, graduated in 82, worked at Mass General with the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, 2 years doing that, watching a lot of people die, and then went to work for the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff McGonigal?
Yes, in 1985.
Honest John.
He didn't hire me, but I did work under him and was involved with the exam scam, the Felzaker, Jerry Amaralt abuse case, the mafia takedown, and had interaction with all those big notorious criminals. It seems like throughout my career, I put on the TV whatever news story is headlining. When I go to work, the order is to take care of that individual or that problem.
Bob, I don't think it's any small thing to say that you've been a nurse and in the corrections department. So you've got that healthcare piece, you got the law enforcement piece. You sought the state rep seat previously.
Correct, Chris, in 2022. And that was a very bold move because I certainly didn't know what I was doing. It's only 2019 that I did become involved, and that was via a phone call to Mass GOP saying, I'm a Republican. I've supported you people. I send you money. Can we get a candidate to challenge the state rep and senator we've had down here for the last 30 years? And their reply is, what are you doing?
Right.
And I said, I'm working. I'm not a politician. Jim Lyons and John Milligan, who's the executive director of Mass GOP now, came down and spoke with me and gave me something called the Welcome to the Minuteman program, where there was a candidate questionnaire. They wanted a social media plan, a district contact list, and a finance plan with an initial startup. This was in July of 2019.
Yep.
By January of 2020, they wanted me to have $15,000 with $10,000 in hand, besides all the other things, which just seemed impossible. At that time, I told them that I didn't think I was able to, but by 2020, I had become frustrated enough to step up and do it. If nobody else was, then...
Isn't that what it is comes down to, Bob, right? There's a lot of people listening right now to you, because your job on the state committee, which, by the way, he's running unopposed, so he will be the state committee man. In fact, I already treat him like he is.
Thank you.
So, is recruiting candidates. And you've done it. You know what I always tell people is, I've done it. I don't ask anybody to do something I haven't done. And it is great being a candidate, Bob. Isn't it, win or lose, it makes your life better, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It increases a sense of well-being by having these associations with other people that are of like mind, and that's proven to increase longevity. So by joining our committee or by joining social organizations, you actually live longer. Chris, going along with what you just said, I'm basing a lot of things on the evaluation of people on the fruit that they bear, which is kind of a biblical type thing. But to talk about our Fairhaven Republican Town Committee and the fruit that we've borne, we've got Dan Lopes on the Board of Public Works, Kim Hyland, the former chair. He's currently the Register of Voters. Kathy Carter had served on the Finance Committee for 15 years. John Pond is on the Sustainability Committee. So we have people in our committee that are actually engaged in the community and serving. Since I became chair, which was just in 2021, we formed coalitions with Mattapoisett, Westport, Evangendro down there, Dartmouth, Janine Simmons. We're forming new committees in New Bedford. A former radio personality here has taken up the challenge to form a committee in Ward 3 in New Bedford. We've worked on initiative and referendum petitions.
I'll say it. It's Phil Paleologos and his wife Celeste, both friends of mine, are trying to organize the Ward 3 Republican City Committee. And they'll be on the ballot tomorrow. You can vote for them. In fact, you have to vote for them. I encourage you to vote for them because that's how you're going to get a Republican presence in the city of New Bedford.
Yes, please do that. And if anybody's in this particular district, Mark Montigny's senatorial district, it's 2nd Bristol and Plymouth, I encourage you just to write your name on the ballot as a write-in. If you want to form a committee, I'm trying real hard to form a Republican Town Committee in Acushnet, have some contacts. We're working on it. It's not hard, but, you know, personally, I pledge to help you form that committee, get other people involved, and you'll have great success and a lot of friends.
Bob, before we're going to take a break, but just before because people, again, I want people to vote for you. You're a hell of a guy. You're very soft-spoken. You are really calm, but this is not... But he's also full of energy, folks. I mean, I got to tell you, this man is full of energy, which is just what we need, what this area really needs. But you're a father, you're a grandfather, you go to church locally. Just tell people a couple of things like that.
A short bio. I think I talked about the Sheriff's Department, and initially I had started over there as a nurse. In 2021, 1998, I had gone to a correctional officers academy in hopes of securing a better retirement. As a nurse, you don't get the same as law enforcement officers. Maybe they should or shouldn't. But anyway, I went to the famous Group 4 retirement. I completed the Correctional Officers Academy, but really never did that job, maybe shadowed a little bit. Most of the time I was a nurse inside the jail, either up in Cambridge at the Middlesex Jail or down here on Long Pond Road. But in 2021, I went to the Deputy Sheriff's Academy here in Bristol County. It was down at the Westport Police Station. Gary Souza, the former chief here, was the lead instructor. But immediately after that, just before 9/11, I began doing high security transport for Plymouth County Sheriff's Department up until my retirement.
Folks, we have Bob McConnell here in office. You can vote for him tomorrow. Maybe some of you already have if you early voted. He's running for the Republican State Committee, but I don't think that's the only thing he might be running for. We're going to talk more to Bob about that in a moment. We're going to take a very short break. Stick around. I'm Chris McCarthy. Little Back Streets by Bruce Springsteen. And I have someone in the studio who knows a lot about walking the back streets. Walking the back streets of Fairhaven, Mattapoisett, Rochester, Acushnet, even the city of New Bedford, to run for office. Bob McConnell is a candidate for state representative. But Bob, don't keep us in suspense. You ran for state rep before. What is your heart and mind telling you this time?
That last election cycle, the Republican candidate that bested me in the primary, Dr. Jeffrey Swift, lost the election by only 2,000 votes. I think I can make that up. When I ran last time, I think I had just said that I was
Stay focused on the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was unprepared, but look at what happened because I stepped forward. Rick Trapello challenged Bill Strauss in a primary, and I was challenged as the Republican candidate. You know, folks, that hadn't happened since 1956, that there was that much action. I needed 150 signatures for my nomination paper. 85% of the people that signed the papers had no idea who their current state rep was, even though he had been in office for 30 years. That's just outrageous. So that much activity brings a spotlight. It improves good government no matter what, having oversight and having people aware of who's representing them. If that's all my race does this time, then it's a success. Everything that I do has immediate success in this political arena. I always say civic awareness and participation. Somebody might challenge me and say, what's that mean? Okay, state committee person, do you know about a senatorial district? Do you know how many people are in that district? Do you know what they do? I told them about it. Now I encourage them to vote. So they went and they voted for me. That was civic awareness. They're aware of something, and they participated. 100% success immediately.
Bob, you live in Fairhaven. You're a man about town. How do people get in touch with you if they want to help you out, have a question for you? How do people get in touch with you? What's the most convenient way for you and for them?
Call me up at 508-863-0416. The campaign, which we really haven't started to talk about yet, but it's bristolbob10rep@gmail.com. On the 21st, Thursday, the third Thursday of every month, we have a Republican Town Committee meeting. All are welcome. That's at 32 Abbey Street at 6 p.m. We're going to have a post-election meeting where a lot of information will be disseminated to all that attend and a lot of opportunity to serve to find out about what's going on politically.
We have Bob McConnell. He's a candidate for the Republican State Committee, which is a party job. The Democrats have them as well. The Republican has a state committee. Bob's on the ballot He's on the ballot right now if you're early voting, but he'll be on the ballot tomorrow for the majority of us who go out and vote on Election Day. So he'll be on the ballot if you live in the town of Acushnet, the town of Fairhaven, the city of New Bedford, the town of Mattapoisett, and the town of Dartmouth. You'll see Bob McConnell's name if you pull the Republican ballot. Bob, how do people get in touch with you?
508-863-0416. Bristol Bob 10 rep, the number 10 rep at gmail.com. And we have 3 Facebook pages. There's a Fairhaven Republican Town Committee Facebook page, Robert Scott McConnell, personal, and then Robert S. McConnell is a campaign. Multiple ways and not hard to find.
You guys do a lot of fun stuff, important stuff, but it's social as well as civic for the town and for the region and for the country. Really, the Republican Party here in Fairhaven. People can join it, right? They just have to become a Republican. But if they're not yet a Republican, they want to come down and see what you guys are doing. Where do you meet again?
32 Abbey Street.
32 in Fairhaven.
Right.
Where is that?
In Fairhaven. That's down Pleasant Street in back of the old Atlas Tack Factory. It's a private home, but the meetings are held in the garage, which is at ground level. So if anybody has crutches, a walker, wheelchair, you're certainly welcome, and we'll make all accommodations to have you attend.
Bob, right now you're on sort of a listening tour about the state rep seat. What are you thinking?
Well, I was going to skip back and talk about the deputy sheriff. Everybody has a impetus to encourage them to run, whether they're angry about something that happened to them personally, building something on their property, or another personal issue. Mine was, like I had told you the story of going to the deputies academy. I was a nurse, but then when I went out on the street, it was just at the time of 9/11 and being in uniform.
I'm going to put a neck collar on you. Quit looking out the window. You got to talk into the microphone.
Okay, being held on the street in uniform, people would come up, offer to buy you coffee, tell you what a hero you were. Well, I was a nurse before this, and I would just say that I hadn't done anything. Oh, thank you for your service. I hadn't done anything. Well, in a very short time, we went from being heroes to zeros.
Right.
And the police were now under attack. Even though I haven't been a law enforcement officer for that long now, maybe 30 years. You know, in the past, I was heavily involved, and it's a brotherhood. It's a family, a black, white, female, no matter what gender, no matter what ethnicity. You don't last if you have any inkling that you don't like a person because of their skin color, religion, or anything else. It's just simply not true. And then to have that label put on us was intolerable.
We have Bob McConnell here in studio. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
Before a following scene, she was making for the trades on the outside, and the downhill run to Papa A. Off the wind.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. We're a few minutes left with Bob McConnell. He will be on the ballot tomorrow. Bob, tell everybody to go out and vote tomorrow.
Chris, I really, really would encourage people to exercise their vote. They may think it's a done deal already, but what Joanne Hodgson and I were hoping to do was get so many votes that we might have a significant challenge for a state senator race down here. If we can garner enough votes just for us for this committee, it might show that we've got enough voters to get out there. It means something. Please, please, just go out. Won't take long. Do it. It's great.
And if they want to be on the whatever town they live in, if they want to be on the town committee, Republican, and then the Democrat side, they can do this as well. You can write in your name under the town committee, right?
Yeah, Chris, thank you for that. Because in Ward 3, we have 4 people that have formed a committee, but there's a minimum of 5 votes. So just go tell your friends to vote for you. If you're on the ballot and I see that there's a new committee formed, we'll help you fill out the forms with the Office of Campaign Political Finance. We'll help you host your first meeting. It'll be really exciting. Write your name on the ballot. Vote for yourself. Right there with, if you like Nikki Haley, fine, or Donald Trump. This is a historic document. You can be part of history.
Yes, yes. So, Bob, again, how do people get in touch with you if they're interested in helping you?
508-863-0416. Facebook, Fairhaven Republican Town Committee, or Robert Scott or Robert S. McConnell. Those are all ways that you can get in touch with me. Chris, if we could just step back to, a reason for running. Initially, like I said, it was the treatment of police and how I was being treated out there, just trying to serve the public and take care of people, keep people safe. Secondly, I started getting really angry because we're on the road a lot, hundreds of miles, and just unbelievable conditions of the roads and the things that you would see out there. Bed springs, car parts, it's just outrageous. And then I started listening to talk radio, hearing more, and then looking at the legislative record for particularly the representative down in our way. And, he wasn't not helping at all. In fact, everything he voted for was just the opposite of what I would vote for.
So, Bob, as a Republican, he'll be on the ballot. You can vote for him early voting, or you have to vote for him tomorrow. Tomorrow is the election. Bob, again, I want to thank you for coming in. You're a good guy. You're a friend. You are a ball of energy, and a very nice guy. You can't do this alone. You need a lot of people to help you. You need a lot of people to support you. But I know the one thing about you.